With YouTube attacking alternative media, please consider supporting the channel via Patreon for just $1 per month. Link below. Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater, and Black Panther is a good movie. Not the best movie in existence, as it's currently being heralded as by some groups of people out there on the internet, but it is a solid movie that I quite enjoyed. However, the Oscars were this past weekend, and you know, there was something missing out of that, and a lot of that had to do with superheroes, right? Like, one of the biggest disconnects between the Oscars and the average moviegoer is the Oscars don't represent what the moviegoers are going to see. They're just not, and that's, I guess, fine. They're, you know, 90 years into the Academy Awards, but people are starting to drop off viewing it. I mean, it was down to under 26.5 million people, down from 30.5 last year. So that's a huge, significant drop. However, I got a whole video on that and anything else. But what we got here is this rumor that Disney is reportedly planning a full Black Panther 2019 Oscar campaign. Why? I mean, like, I get it. The movie's going to probably gross $1 billion, and that's like good for Disney and good for Marvel and good for the Marvel Cinematic Universe and good for the people involved in the movie because the movie is good. But why? Why? Anyway, it says here that the Academy Awards ceremony just wrapped on Sunday night, but that doesn't mean it's too early to begin campaigning for next year's Oscars. Deadline has indicated that Disney is already planning a full award season campaign for Black Panther, including a Best Picture nomination. That's dumb. Don't go for Best Picture. Don't even go. Don't go for Best Actor, because, you know, Chadwick Boseman was good, but he's not like Best Actor good. Maybe like Lupita Nyong'o. Okay, like Best Supporting Actress could be something you'd want to go for there. Maybe I could see Ryan Coogler Best Director. Okay, I'll give him that because it was a well made movie. But definitely not Best Adapted Screenplay. Definitely not Best Visual Effects, because that movie was almost nothing but CG. And the CG was actually, because there was so much of it in the scenery, a lot of people actually felt themselves kind of going to it. Like, it was one of the big mockery points. Perhaps actually Andy Serkis for Claw as Best Supporting, because Andy Serkis doesn't get enough love. And I think if they pushed Andy Serkis for Best Supporting Actor, then the Academy could finally give it to him for everything else he's done, because, you know, they tend to do that. They'll give you an award for one thing that you maybe don't deserve, but it's really like, hey, we feel bad we overlooked you all these other years. Now, it says Black Panther has been nothing less than a massive success and cultural phenomenon for Disney. So it makes only sense for the company to push it hard for some major awards. The news comes straight from a top executive, according to Deadline. Of course, it's only March, and a lot can change before the end of the year. Hundreds of movies are still to be released, and a big challenge for films released early in the year is being able to keep momentum going into award season. Yeah, that's kind of lame too, right? Like, look at Logan from last year. It's been a year since Logan came out. Arguably, in my opinion, the best film of 2017. Shape of Water was good, but man, Logan just right in the feels. I've watched that movie so many times. And it was up for Best Adapted Screenplay, and it should have won, but it didn't, because the Academy never awards superhero films. The closest we got really was 2008 Dark Knight, or 2009 Academy Awards and Dark Knight. Like, that was the closest we got because of Heath Ledger, and he was great, don't get me wrong, but Nolan and Dark Knight probably should have won Best Picture that year. I don't even know what won that year, but I know it should have been The Dark Knight. But ultimately, the members of the Academy aren't going to go for box office draw, not this last year at least. This last year, what we saw quite a bit of was trying to push the diversity card and the inclusion card. I mean, Frances McDormand and her inclusion writer comment sparked a big conversation online. However, looking at it from a legal perspective, it's probably illegal because it comes across as discrimination. But that was a lot of what they were pushing during this year's Oscars. And the thing is, audiences don't care. The general movie-going audience does not give a crap about that. I'm sure deep down they're fine with it, and they probably want it. Most people want equality, and they want it to be they want people to be treated the same. But when they watch their movies, they don't want politics. They're tired of it. And so ultimately, they don't care. And this year, who knows what's going to happen, right? So it says, of course, history has been notoriously unkind to superhero films during the Oscars, and there's no telling if next year will be any different. No film has made the cut for Best Picture nomination, despite rising critical acclaim over the last several years. Heath Ledger won Best Supporting Actor for his performance in The Dark Knight, and just this year, Logan broke with Best Adapted Screenplay nomination, but otherwise, superhero films have mostly been relegated to technical awards. Could Black Panther have a realistic shot at Best Picture nomination for next year? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no only because, and it's not because it's a bad movie. I loved it. It's a great film. I can't wait to own it on Blu-ray. My girlfriend is like dying to see it. She hasn't seen it yet. But it's not that, here's the thing. If Killmonger would have been allowed to kind of complete his mission, if he would have been able to really tap in to the anger and angst that the character was trying to go for, I think it would probably have a shot. Right? I think it would probably have a shot. But ultimately, it's a Marvel movie. And bad guys take the back seat. And one of the reasons why it would never really work like that is because you want to have a solid villain, right? You need a face and you need a heel that work well together. The Shape of Water, granted it was Sally Hawkins, but really the antagonist was Michael Shannon, who the whole time was running on like a 10 out of 10 intensity, right? And so he's just bringing it in every scene that he's in. And that added to the intensity of the movie, leading into the dramatic climax of it all. And that's ultimately one of the things that brought it about. I mean, look at 12 Years a Slave. That won Best Picture, and that's a fantastic movie. But really, Michael Fassbender and the rage that he brought to that character, and the anger and the bitterness he brought to that plantation owner, was one of the things that really made that movie compelling, as well as Solomon Northup's story. And so it's kind of like you need a good antagonist and I'd argue you need a better antagonist than you do a protagonist, because the protagonist has to overcome amazing odds. Look at Precious, right? Monique was up for Best Supporting Actress for being the bad guy, because she brought it in a way that was not only gut-wrenching to watch, but just intense and like, oh my God, evil. So to have that kind of approach, you've got to bring the villain, right? Like Wonder Woman kind of tried. Warner's pushed Wonder Woman in order to get Best Picture, but Ares is kind of a lame villain in the movie. These comic book movies focus more on the superhero than the villain, which means they'll never get Best Picture. Why do you think everyone really, really, really wanted The Dark Knight to get nominated? Because Heath Ledger's role as the Joker was better than Christian Bale as Batman. We remember that more. And the way that Nolan brought it and brought Gotham to life, especially in IMAX, really raised the bar. Marvel, as much as I love them, is very homogenized in how they do everything. So they're not going to really ever go further past where they are right now. That is, unless they do a complete 180 in a few areas and allow for a few more experimental movies to be made. You want my honest take? My honest take would be this. Fox has the best shot right now of getting a Best Picture nomination for a superhero movie. Why? Because Logan and Deadpool are two prime examples of them allowing the mold to be broken and wonders to be made. But anyway, what are your thoughts on this? I really want to know. Be sure to let me know in the comments. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater. If you haven't already, thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, share it around, get in on the conversation. And if you guys want to win a copy of Justice League, which is kind of weird to promote on a Marvel video, be sure to subscribe and leave a comment below. I'm giving the movie away on March 10th. And that'll be over on the community tab on the main page of the channel. But until then, if you wanted to see more commentary from me over movies, which I hope you do, you can do so right now.